Welcome to Fit2B Radio. Slip on your minimal sneakers, notch your headphones into your ears, tuck your smartphone into your pocket, and take us along for a walk while we talk. Or just grab a cup of your favorite drink and get on the floor and stretch a bit while we bring you all things fitness, core, and diastasis recti related.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Yep. All right.
Born ready.
Born ready. I love that.
I love your first one though, when you're like, I wish I could just say all those things. I know, that is so bad.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fit2B Radio. My name is Chris Spanky. I'll be your host today. I'm here with Beth Learn. She's the CEO and founder of Fit2B Studio online website. Go check it out. We're also here with Kathryn Brunner. She is the founder and chief music maker of Music at Home, which is, I have to say, a pretty killer title. So I'm going to want to know about what do you mean by chief music maker and learn about that. But before we do, where are you coming to us from?
I am coming to you straight from Fairfax, Virginia, 17 miles west of Washington, D.C.
Oh,
so the number 2 capital of traffic in the world, although D.C. is the capital of the United States. D.C., we've got the capital in a couple different ways.
Yeah. So how long have you been there?
I graduated high school here, actually. Moved all around as a military kid.
Okay.
And my dad ended up here and have been here ever since. Went away for college, came back. So this is home. I love it here, despite the traffic.
Got it. Where did you go for college?
I went to a liberal arts college called Gardner-Webb University. And then I went on to do some master's work at Reformed Theological Seminary and also some work at George Mason University for continuing my work in music. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. So, Beth, how do you guys know each other? What's the connection?
We connected, I think, through one of the Ultimate bundles.
Okay.
And Kathryn reached out because she was wanting to know more about how she could help moms getting up and down off the ground with kids in her program, because she has these excellent music material things for her clients that offer activities and motions and songs that her clients can do. She'll be telling us more about this. I'm butchering the description. I'm so sorry.
I love it. It's great.
And so I wrote a blog for her about just ways to safely transition and what the crossover is really between music and fitness, because a lot of people don't think about it, but any singer can tell you that the core plays a massive role in singing well and making music.
Okay. That's awesome. So tell me more about Music at Home. What is Music at Home?
Sure. Music at Home is an online music studio for babies, toddlers, preschoolers, kindergartners, soon to be first graders. We're releasing a new class series this fall, and their parents. So parents do classes alongside their children to help them move forward in musicianship and really to train children in a holistic understanding of what music is. But you can't do that without movement. And that's why I reached out to Beth, because movement is so key, and not just for the children, but parents, as they model these movements for their children, need to understand how to do so safely. So,
wow, that's fantastic. And when did Music at Home get off the ground? Get started.
So I think you'll like this. I haven't had a chance to tell you this, Beth, but a couple months after my second daughter was born, I had not been able to teach my early childhood music classes for a little while due to childbirth and all sorts of health issues and things like that. And I had been thinking for at least 2 years, how can I continue to teach while being a mom, while kind of getting through some of these muddy waters with health and everything. And a month after I had my second child, I was doing one of your videos and was really focusing on my core. And it just hit me. Oh my goodness. I need to put my classes out online in a similar way to what Beth Learn has done, because I can no longer teach these classes at this point in my life in a live setting all week long like I had been used to doing years prior.
Yeah,
and I have got to tell you, from that point on, I could not stop thinking about it. You know, when something has just come alive in you. So that was the beginning of 2015. And it took until about 2017 to have our hard launch. So Music at Home has really, as of this August, it will be 1 year. So.
Wow. Congratulations.
Well, and that just speaks to how a lot of people think that websites are point and click. And, you just build a website. Nope.
No, not at all. Yes. And so I have to say too, I have an amazing brother who does incredible behind the scenes work for me on my website. And without him, the website would not exist. So it's kind of who you know.
Without Chris, Fit2B would not be anywhere.
Yep, I hear you. Absolutely.
It's easy for people to watch a Squarespace ad and see somebody put together a little 3-page website about, you know, something, and you really can build that in like 1 hour and kind of think that's how websites are. But when you're building something with resources and ways to purchase and access things, it's kind of a horrible nightmare that I don't wish on anyone, actually.
That's hilarious.
You have to really love what you do and really want to get that content out there, and then really want to keep getting that content out there for the next number of years. Like, it has to be a passion, which it is for us.
Absolutely.
It's gotta be a passion.
I have my down days. Yeah, but I just wanted you to know that you were part of the inspiration for Music at Home, which is really quite something. And now we're reaching people all over the world, in Australia, in South America, in the Netherlands, you know, all over Canada, China, Singapore, Indonesia. So anyway,
China.
It's really cool.
Oh, that's good. See, we can't seem to get people in China. I don't know why.
Oh, interesting.
Like, 1 or 2 here and there, and then
I think we're blocked, actually.
Yeah.
It's probably our wording.
No, I think we're blocked, actually.
Interesting.
So so there's some people that can't access, but having a global base has been an interesting thing for us. It's made it cool and fun. So kind of the build up before Music at Home, how did you get to that? Like, how did you find yourself, you know, doing that?
Oh, wow. So this story is very near to my heart, because prior to, let me just back up. So in 2005, I got my certification in early childhood music and movement and began teaching it alongside of my piano studio. I've been teaching piano in my own studio here in Northern Virginia for 18 years. And so I was doing the early childhood music classes too. And then I had my first daughter in 2012. And at that time, I had been recording as a singer-songwriter with a Nashville producer. And in 2012, when I had my first daughter, I realized, I can't keep teaching these early childhood music classes right now. I actually would like to take some time to pursue recording while I can't teach these classes because of the crazy schedule that a child brings and all of that. And I was really kind of ramping that side of my musicality up and doing lots of concerts. I crowdfunded an album. My Christmas album was so amazing. And just
tell us what it is.
Where's it?
It's called, you can get it on iTunes. You can get it on Amazon Music Unlimited, anything. It's called Born This Day. Was my Christmas album. I think it's my best album in terms of what I want my music to sound like. I did a previous album to that with the same producer, which is more kind of pop in that realm. But my Christmas album is more folk rock, which is more me. So anyway, I was doing a lot of concerts. Oh, it's so fun. Yeah, I think you might enjoy the album too. So anyway, when I finished that season in 2012, I also had been directing worship at my church for 9 years. So there was a lot of things going on, lots of moving parts. And then in 2013, January 10th, the day before my daughter's first birthday, I experienced a major concussion. And that concussion put me out and not even able to take care of my daughter for 7 months.
Oh.
Not able to drive, not able to leave my home, basically had to recalibrate to life, and it was awesome. The pastor at my church where I was leading worship kept giving me another month. Okay, are you coming back? Okay, another month. And then we got to the point where I realized I'm not coming back. And I could not come back. What happened was a month after that concussion, I went back and I led worship one time, and the audio, just the noise, gave me another head injury.
Whoa.
So I had to really deal with that and understand, okay, as a musician, noise is now a problem for me. What in the world do I do with this?
That's tough.
Certainly teaching classes of 15 to 20 kids at a time is not going to be easy. So what happened with that injury?
No, that's not
right. So with that injury, I was so grateful and thankful to God that I did not lose my memory. I did not have any cognitive deficiencies. But what it did bring for me was a lot of cognitive fatigue, brain fatigue. And that brain fatigue was brought on by noise. Oh my goodness.
What a challenge.
So it has been quite the challenge, and I've gotten so much better than I was. Obviously, I couldn't even be sitting here with these headphones on 5 years ago. But, at that time, I continued to pursue my songwriting, because recording in a studio you can do. I just couldn't play with my band at the time. And did some really cool projects for AIDS orphans in Africa and all this stuff, which I really was passionate about. But when I sat back and I saw my daughter growing up, and then I had my second daughter on the way during this whole recovery process, I was like, how am I going to give them music education that I want them to have? I'm not out there teaching my classes, so what am I going to do? And I was just literally praying and thinking, how can I continue teaching my classes that I love to teach and I'm so passionate about? Obviously, I was doing a lot of it with my girls at home, but there were days when I just didn't have the energy to think through even what song to sing with them. That's how tired sometimes my brain would be. And so when I had the idea to put my classes online, it was like this huge shift for me to go, oh my goodness, it gives me chills right now just to think about how I can use these gifts that I feel God has given me to continue to bless other families. And not just for my family, but it has been for my family, because I do these music at home classes with my own girls all the time. They're 3 and 6 now, and they love them. The second the music starts playing, they come running. They know it's going to be special time with mommy. It's just me and them and music and movement, and they go crazy. So all of that, along with well, I can get into my diastasis journey a little later, but I think that might have answered your question. So.
Well, and as you're talking, I was thinking about the story of Esther, and how, for such a time as this, like if you had been born 100 years earlier with all this talent and ability, and had a concussion, and everything about your story was the same up to that moment, and but the internet didn't exist.
Right.
I'm sure that God is faithful and would have still been using your talent, but like to put you on the planet at this time and enable you to continue to chase this dream and make an impact in other people's lives, bringing music and movement through the online platforms that exist now is just so cool. It's just such a cool thing here. It gives me chills too. I'm right there with you, sister.
That's very cool. So you've mentioned movement a bunch of times that go along with the music at home. When you say movement, fill in some of the details. What do you mean by movement?
Yeah, you cannot have music without movement if you really think about it. If you think about a musician who's playing at the highest level, their fine motor is so refined, but it doesn't start there. It starts with large gross motor. And when you're a child, you have to learn how to move first. To understand music is made with your whole body. And then as you grow, you begin to learn how to do those fine motor movements so that you can play at a higher level. But in terms of movement for my classes, we are always dancing. There's skipping, marching, jumping. There's movements that are seated. There's movements that are standing. Sometimes, especially in my babies' classes, I recorded those when my second daughter was 8 months old. I'll be holding her and moving and dancing around. Some children may want to just be on the floor. Some children may want to be held even when I'm not holding them, but a parent will want to hold their child. So there's all sorts of movement. Some classes we even walk backwards. So there's a lot of fun
good for the brain. It's very good for the brain.
Exactly.
I'm the kind of person that has to move whenever there's any type of rhythm. Like there's no way I can stand still. I'm sure most people watching, including yourself, are familiar with that awesome little video going around about that little girl in the church that it's like, her song comes on and all the other kids are just standing still and she's like patting her legs and she's dancing.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my goodness. You guys, if you haven't seen that yet, I think you search like little girl dancing at church, you'll probably find it on Facebook. It is the cutest thing ever. I mean, and she just keeps rocking out the entire song.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And there's one that I just posted recently about a dad who's just kind of playing his guitar and his baby's sitting on the bed and this baby is going crazy.
I've seen that one too. Yeah.
Yes. Music just lights up a child's world and they can't help but move. And just like us, we can't help it either. So,
Yep.
That's super,
my son,
super cool.
He loves music. Oh.
Yeah. And he loves to move.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
You're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Love it.
So you talked about that the classes are for little kids. What exactly do they experience in a class, like the music at home class? Describe kind of what it is.
So the classes are intended to give children a solid foundation for music literacy. And what they will experience is the opportunity to repeat rhythm patterns and tonal patterns that are literally pulled out of the songs that we sing. Children, their brains are wired to understand music better with the unaccompanied voice. So it's a lot of me singing without background music. And then we also bring in some professional recordings of some really, really fun recorded movements. For example, one is put to music with Oliver, what's it called? Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick. And there's a great little movement that goes with that. And so you're up around, you're imagining what it would be like to be jumping over that candlestick. And then there's Oliver twist, he can't do this, touch his knees, touch his toes, clap his hands, and around he goes. And there's a really fun recorded movement that has parents and children moving all over the room with that. So it's a lot of language learning, a lot of song learning. If you were to take my family music for mixed ages class, you would get 94 song activities and children will just be spouting those off outside of class and inside of class. And the neurological pathways that are being established are just innumerable. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, I know in classical education, that format of learning, they attach song to rhyme, to learning certain grammatical and mathematical things. Plus, and they have them stand and they have them shift, because when you're using different parts of the brain, not just the speech part, but also movement parts and lyrical parts, and then you also add motions where you're maybe crossing the midline. Woo! The whole brain lights up, and then that increases the retention and the memory of what they've been learning.
It does. It's like taking a pencil and tracing it across the same line over and over and over. The more you repeat something, the stronger that brain pathway gets. Probably similar to muscle memory for everything you do in fitness. Right. So that's what we do in music at home classes. And our classes, just like a fitness class, are meant to be repeated again and again and again. And each time a child comes back to that class, they'll come to it with new understanding because of the last time they completed it, if that makes sense.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And you mentioned a couple of times too that how parents can participate in this. So how does that work? How do they participate in it? Do they just listen along with it and kind of go along, or?
Ideally, my goal is that parents will do what I'm doing so that the child will follow their parent. I would much rather the child be doing what the parent is doing so that, that parent is just intricately involved with that child during that whole class session.
Right.
Now the parent can modify anything I'm doing along the way, and I'm always clear to say that usually at the beginning of the classes. And parents get to engage their children right where they're at. And it's such a great time too, because you can just sit back, let somebody else lead it, but be fully engaged as well with your child. So it's hopefully my desire is that it's an incredibly priceless bonding time with their children when parents do these classes. So,
well, they say that the family that plays together stays together, right? And when we play, and this sounds like another way to play, and maybe most people wouldn't associate it with a workout, but I do hereby declare, Beth Learn of Fit2B, as a fitness professional, that this would be a workout, because any type of purposeful movement is exercise. And when you string multiple movements together, that becomes a workout. And if you're also learning during the process, bonus.
Yes, let me tell you, when I recorded last summer, we did a couple of days of 10-hour days, and I had just finished doing Kelly Bean's tummy team. My diastasis was completely closed, and I was going into this knowing that I was pretty, strong in my core. But after 10 hours, I had probably been up and down at least 150 to 200 times in the course of those 10 hours. My core was feeling it. Oh my goodness. So anyway, it doesn't take 10 hours to feel it. That's for sure.
But imagine doing that without having done core rehab.
I know. Not so good. So,
do you feel like doing core rehab made you a stronger singer?
It's hard to say because I'm not singing professionally in the way that I used to, but I do sing all the time for these classes and things like that. And absolutely, it strengthens everything that you need for singing. There is I am exhausted if I sing for an hour, sometimes, but I used to be able to sing for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time and be fine. It's just a matter of building up that endurance. And, I'm not out performing every weekend, so it's going to be different no matter what. So it's a little hard for me to gauge. But certainly I know the difference when my core is active and not active. And my desire is that parents who do my classes will really give some thought to what's going on in their core and not just hold their baby on their hip and let everything kind of push out, or, not just get up and down from a seated to a standing position without thinking, am I engaging my core? And actually, what is going on in that region? And have I given it any thought? So one of the things I love to do with Music at Home is tell my audience about what you're doing, Beth, because it's so helpful to them. And I've had a lot of parents really come to me and say, wow, I've never heard about this. What is a diastasis? Can you tell me more? And then of course I point them to you. So it's really great. And I've had a long journey myself, so I can share my journey with them too. But
that's awesome. Word of mouth is still one of our most powerful referral sources, and nobody can argue with a testimony, right? They can't argue with your story. When you say, this is what happened and this is how it's helped me, it's very, very powerful. And the core, I'm just going to take just a second to go into a little bit of a deeper level, like how that plays into music in terms of singing. You have your core, which is like a cylinder. And at the top of that cylinder, you have the diaphragm, which is responsible for the suctioning effect that assists the lungs in breathing. So when you inhale, your diaphragm drops down and it kind of makes an umbrella that's been turned inside out. And then when you exhale, the umbrella goes back the right way, and that diaphragm lifts and supports the lungs to help push air up out. But at the same time, your pelvic floor is mirroring. In a healthy core, the pelvic floor is mirroring what's happening in the diaphragm. So if you're not watching this, if you and you want to switch over, You can see what my hands are doing right now. I'm kind of making cups with my hands, but when the diaphragm drops, the pelvic floor also comes down a little bit. And then it raises when we exhale. It helps to lift because it's an entire system. Nothing works in isolation. And then you have your transverse abs that wrap around and a lot of spinal muscles and other little tiny muscles. But the big ones are the diaphragm and the pelvic floor and the transverse abs and then the multifidus and erector spinae in the back that are just kind of creating this canister. Wow. And whenever you inhale, that whole system moves and it assists the breath. And so when there's dysfunction and when the fascia that joins the abs in the middle is thinned and separated and dysfunctional and not holding tension, you're not going to have as much strength in your voice. When the pelvic floor is not as responsive, when you've had damage from childbirth, when there's been abuse or trauma or surgery, all of that can impact what's happening in your voice and also how you're moving, how you're dancing, how you're manifesting music in your life. And so there are some pretty amazing physiological connections.
For sure. That is absolutely correct. And I feel that, so I can say that's for sure. And I do look forward to getting back to the day when I do get to sing 3 to 4 hours a day, because it is so exhilarating to get to do music for that long. And it is a full-bodied experience. It is just so much fun. And that's not really what we're training kids to do at this young age with music at home. But, we are getting their voices. I have to tell you, I have interviewed hundreds of kids in my piano studio here in Northern Virginia. And I have a lot of them who come in who have never used the upper register of their voice. And it does, like you say, come back to that core. So I say, okay, think of a string going through your entire body, flip your head flip your voice up to the very top of your head. And now can you repeat, so, me, do? Can you repeat that? Because a lot of times they'll come back to me, so, me, do. They'll be way down in their lower register. But I help kids find their head voice. And in my classes at Music at Home, I sing in a range that is so good for children. A lot of times with pop music, we'll hear these pop voices singing so low in children's pop music. And it's just, that's one of the things that it makes me cringe. Not good for a child to be just singing in that lower register all the time. We've got to get up there. And like you said, it does take that core to support that. So,
for sure.
But,
I love hearing you demonstrate things. I like that you're actually singing for us a little bit.
Oh man, singing is just who I am. So yeah.
I here's something a lot of people might not know about me, but I'm currently on the worship team at my church, and our main worship leader had to step down, life and needing to travel, and I am the oldest one on the team, and so I've ended up being kind of this de facto person in charge, and it's such a strange thing because it's not something I've ever done before, and well, I mean, not really leader. I really want to help other people do that because there's people on the team who have that capability and I want to support them in doing that. But it's they come, they're like, Beth, what do you think? What do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm supposed to do all these female lead things. And my head voice has been challenged lately because we had another gal who was better in those upper ranges. And I just let her do that stuff and and now I'm, and it's that sending your voice up and back and through and out your forehead. And it's a similar concept of the core. It's we're trying to pull up and in and send energy up and out through the head.
Yeah.
So
it's real.
Now that you're doing that more regularly, do you notice the workout that you're getting while doing the singing?
Oh, I totally can feel the difference and hear it in my monitor when I am not using my transverse. Even if I'm standing in good alignment, okay, there's a lot of talk in my world about, just be in good alignment and that's enough to activate the core. If you're not doing anything, but singing is work and lifting something is work. And I feel like there needs to be a little extra, and I believe, not just feel, activation of the transverse abdominis, that lifting from the base of the core, starting with the pelvic floor, pulling everything gently up and in, maybe 20 to 35-ish%. And when I do that, my voice comes out so much more clear, so much more steady. I'm not cracking. I'll be like, oh, hold on. tummy tight. Let me try that again.
It's a beautiful thing. I love it. Yeah.
It makes a big difference. It really does.
It does. It does.
But I'm not going to sing for all of you right now. I'll let you do the singing in this episode.
I'm not going to either.
Chris, come on.
No, not happening.
Yeah. But it's been an interesting journey, just learning how to activate my core in all areas of life, and not just when I'm teaching a music class or doing a music class or a fitness class, but, all throughout the day, I have my cues when I'm getting my water at the refrigerator, pin those abs, belly breath and all of that. I'm in the shower when I'm behind the wheel of my car. Those are my places where I'm working on just, how do you say it? Just zipping it up or something like that.
That's one of Kelly's awesome cues is like zipping from the base of your pubic bone and imagining your hip bones and your ribs and your chest all coming together and just pulling those frontal bones together. Woo! You can feel it. With singing, I really like to envision that I'm not just supporting my voice from my diaphragm, but that I really am supporting it from my pelvic floor. That I'm, and this sounds crass, okay, but singing from your butt. It's like from the bottom up. And I don't say that out loud at church, right? But it's like if I am. That would not be appropriate. I've
had voice teachers say that to me. It's it's really true.
I haven't heard that from voice teachers. I just in terms of how the core works physiologically and how it's designed, it works better, and it works better when we start the flex from the pelvic floor and when we hook people up to all kinds of electrodes in all kinds of strange places where the sun doesn't shine. We find out that the pelvic floor fires first in the core.
Wow.
And so when we can work with that and engage with that consciously and have the breath begin with the pelvic floor, that base of muscles at the bottom that keeps everything up and in between those pelvic bones, we lift from there first. Now we have the power of everything coming up and out instead of down and out.
That's the next blog article I'm coming to you for right there.
Okay. All right. Send me an email.
It makes sense, right? Like you can't have your foundational components if you were weak, right? So you can do all this work with the diaphragm, but if then it doesn't have its own support, then it's not gonna work well.
It's not going to be as strong.
It's not going to be as strong.
And in a healthy core, it will naturally co-activate with all the things, with the transverse and with the pelvic floor. But the reality is that, oh goodness, the sad statistic I saw recently was like up to 80% of women are living with some type of dysfunction or pain after childbirth.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And nobody brings it up.
And that's broad.
OB doesn't seem to bring it up usually. And it took a Pilates instructor in a private lesson for me to first hear the word diastasis. And it was way prior to knowing that you existed online. Right. And I'm like, what? You're telling me I've got a separation of my abdominal wall? What in the world is that? And so,
And then you want to walk around with like your hands holding your gut together because you're just not even sure and you don't have all the information and you're sure something's going to fall out of you at any given moment.
Right. Which was when I came across your information. I think it was through my friend I went to college with, Erin Odom, who runs the Humble Homemaker.
Oh, you went to college with her. Oh, that's the connection. Okay.
Yes, that probably, So she, I think, was promoting your stuff. And I was like, whoa, I've never heard anyone online talk about this diastasis. And I heard about that, a year ago and didn't know what to do. So now I have someone to guide me. And that's when I joined Fit2B. So I've loved it.
Erin's great. I want to get her on here. Erin, if you're listening to this.
You totally should. Yes, absolutely. She's
a busy lady. We're going to get her though.
She said she was going to do it.
On her third book or something. Yeah, she's doing a lot of great things to bless a lot of people.
Yes, she is.
So tell us about your favorite movement. What's your favorite movement? What's your favorite exercise that you like doing?
Oh, I love your foam rollaxing videos. So with my
yay.
foam roller, I have to say, using my foam roller is an awesome way to exercise. But in terms of what I absolutely love, I always go back to yoga at the end of every day. I do some sort of movement in the morning, whether that's your class or another yoga class, and then at night I wind down with some sort of yoga or a relaxing video from Fit2B. Yeah. So every morning, every night, fitness is a part of my life. And if I don't do it, I feel the difference. The stretching, the mobilization, everything really, really helps. So let me think, is there one side bending? That has got to be my absolute favorite. Your mermaids.
Okay. Yep. That's one of my
opening up the sides. Yes. I'm always so tight right there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I just did it and my back cracked. Yeah. Clearly I needed that.
Oh. And then I have to say another thing too. Your neck routine got me through some of the most intense times of my recovery, because usually with every concussion comes a neck injury. And I had a very intense neck injury. So finally got that fixed last year. I think about the same time you had your surgery, I was having a neck procedure as well. I got the 4 nerves burnt off on both sides of my neck in something called a radio frequency procedure. And now, it's incredible. It was very difficult to heal from, but now on the other side, it is a fantastic way to get rid of a lot of neck pain and spinal pain. And I did it at the National Spine and Pain Centers. So they have those all over the United States.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, but your neck routine. That. I know somebody who had that done in her pelvis because she just like massive lumbopelvic pain and searched for reasons and had multiple surgeries. And finally, like, basically your nerves are just not calming down. Your nerves are just stuck in a signal pattern. And they're just convinced there's still a problem and there's not. So we're just going to end those nerves.
Wow.
Like, stop firing. Just go to
sleep. That sounds crazy.
End. Yes.
Right. Well, that is very interesting to hear.
Yeah. And I have to say too, about your videos, my daughter came in recently when I was doing one of yours. She goes, I want to see the one with the dog when the dog comes in. Can you just go to the one with her little dog? I'm like, I don't know which one has her dog.
Weightlifting 101. We've had guest appearances from our pets on various film sites.
I love it.
But the most memorable for me was Weightlifting 101 when we were at Chris and Alice's house, and I was teaching tummy safe patterns for deadlifts with dumbbells, and their little what are they called?
Yorkie.
Yes. She comes in and rolls over on her back right in front of me. And so then I'm like, what do I do? And so I just rolled with it. And I would put the dumbbells down and scratch her tummy, pick the dumbbells back up and stand up. And then deadlift, put the dumbbells down, scratch her tummy, pick the dumbbells up. And members love it. And that dog made herself a part of that whole workout.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's great. It's so funny. Hollywood says the 2 things you never want to choose for your filming is animals or children. And, you made the best of that animal moment. And I have children in all of my videos and I just go with it. You just go with it. And it turns out great. There was one video where my husband, at the end of this very long day, and I put my 2-year-old at a 6:00 time, thinking she would get a great nap and a great dinner, and then she would come back and she would be my last session of the day. Well, my husband did not get the memo to feed her dinner. I'm not quite certain why, but she comes into this class and she is just not herself. And I thought, wow, she was
hangry. She was hangry.
Yeah, she was just acting out all over the place. So a class that was supposed to be filmed in about 40 minutes took an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And this poor girl, once we gave her a lollipop, something kicked on, and I still didn't know she didn't have dinner until we were on our way home. So anyway, it's just crazy things happen on set, and you just roll with it. And the day gets longer, but
it used to make me really. I used to have anxiety, like, oh, there's this pet, and they're in there, and
or there's a kid.
You know what? I think the brand has been built on authenticity, and everyone else has pets, so now when the dogs or the ferrets or the cats or whatever other bizarre things we have running around roll into the set, I just don't even try. And then Beth worked them in, and I think people like it. Hopefully they do. They don't complain.
We don't have to call cut too often. Usually we roll with it. There was the time that I was filming right over here, and my son, who is currently over on the couch eyeballing me, he thought he was being sneaky, and he comes tiptoeing behind me through the set.
Yeah.
And Chris let the cameras roll long enough for us to get the blooper. And then he was like, all right, cut, Seth, what are you doing?
Is that the one where he was peeking around that cabinet back there?
Yes, he's like peeking around.
The island back there, his head is like coming out this and looking and then coming out. And you're totally, if you can see
that's
the camera can see you. But anyway.
Good time. Well, thanks for being on with us. It has been a joy to have you. I hope everybody checks out your program and gets some movement with music in this awesome way.
Thank you. I'd love to offer a promo to your customers too, which we can include if they want to try music at home at a discounted rate. So I'll send you that info and you can post it along with this video.
So
and
we'll put it
podcast.
Yeah, if you're listening to the podcast, you'll find the link and the promo code and all that stuff in the show notes, and you can click right on it.
All right.
Awesome. I'd love to have some mamas who are really ready to move with their children and get them thinking musically and singing and just enjoying some great time together. So thanks, guys, for having me on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Oh, for crying out loud in a bucket, it's really hard for me to end these podcasts. I could talk to our guests for days. Thanks for listening. I really hope you join our community over at Fit2B.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Fit2B, on Instagram at Fit2B Studio, and on Facebook via Fit2B Tummy Safe Fitness. See you soon.